Sailor tattoos tell a story, from places we've been to the superstitions we hold. But some of them have to be earned. Now, there are a variety of tattoos out there that you usually get to signify something, either part of a voyage, where you've traveled, how far you've traveled, or events you've taken underway. And a couple of those are swallows and turtles. Now, there are a variety of designs when it comes to getting your swallows tattooed, as case in point on this, but they all usually represent the same thing. Swallows are used to designate how far you've traveled. Now, historically, it was one swallow per every 5,000 nautical miles, and a nautical mile being a little different than a normal mile. It's 2,000 yards per nautical mile. Makes it easier when it comes to, scales on charts and whatnot. But in recent years, some people have pushed the belief up to 10,000 miles per swallow. However, this is one of those tattoos that, though, yes, you're supposed to earn this one, a lot of people will get it, especially up here on the collarbone area. This is the most common. It's not like one of those designated spots like these tattoos, but it's also, up here to represent the swallow pulling you up to heaven after you die. But nowadays, it can be a lot harder to track how far you went, especially if you're like, say, an engineer that never sees the sunlight unless you go up to the smoke deck. You may not be aware of how far you're actually traveling. And it gets a lot more difficult to figure this out because a lot of the time you go underway, you're in a box. So, a lot of the times when, at least in my experience, when we would actually go underway, we weren't actually going someplace. We were going out to an imaginary box. We drove in the ocean on the chart, like a 25 nautical mile by 25 nautical mile box. We'd just be out there just slow steaming, doing fire drills, combat drills, just drills. And you just go back and forth across that box. Occasionally, you'll draw a pattern. Maybe you'll see if you can do a complete circle, but it's really hard to keep track of how far you went when you really don't go anywhere. You see, in the Age of Sail, when a ship got underway, they went and did things. They traveled places. And though we still do that today, especially if you're part of a strike group or whatnot, but half my time was just spent in the same box outside of Japan, just going back and forth. So it makes it a lot harder to figure out how far I actually went because I was just zigzagging. And like I said, some positions on a ship aren't even privy to the knowledge of how far we went. They're sitting down in, say, the engineering bays, thinking we've just gone days and days and traveled all kinds of places, when in reality we're probably 10 miles from where we were the day before. So, as time's gone on, the tradition, I can't say it's like faded. Some people will still hold to it, but due to the dual meaning of representing miles traveled and to pull you to heaven once you die, it is kind of more acceptable to get them, at least if you've got some sea time under your belt, because like I said, you may not know how far you've actually traveled, and it'd be kind of hard to figure out at times. But this next one, this is definitely one you don't get unless you've earned it. Getting a tattoo turtled on you is... Wait, did I just fucking say that? Yeah, I did. Getting a turtle tattooed on you. I said tattoo turtled on you 5 times in a row after that, by the way. But getting a turtle tattooed on you, it symbolizes that you are a shellback. And what a shellback is if you haven't gone through the initiation when you cross over the equator and done the rite of passage through King Neptune's court, you are a polywog. And if you are a polywog, you don't get these tattooed on you. The same goes for images of King Neptune. Both King Neptune and turtles represent that you are a shellback. This is not something you really want to get tattooed if you haven't gone through crossing the line initiation, because should you get this on you without doing that, you're going to catch a little shit from people. So before you go and get any of these on you, make sure you look up the history and requisites to get them.